If you're watching this video, I'm going to assume you're familiar with who Ben Shapiro is.
Since he's way more well known than I am.
He's notorious for saying facts don't care about your feelings, so it's no surprise the social disconnect between him and his social policies. Now, I need to firstly state that I'm not for loan forgiveness or the subsidies that colleges receive, causing a higher price of college. I am well aware that things that are subsidized generally aren't great for the economy. Things like certain kinds of energy, college, and insurance probably shouldn't be subsidized, as it really makes those things, ironically, more expensive for the typical consumer. Look at how much college has risen due to federal subsidies in the last 20 years. 144%.
144%.
However, back to Ben's point here, he's simply just saying everything that happens to you is your fault, and to some extent, this is the case. But this is a multifaceted equation that we're dealing with here. This wasn't some 40-year-olds taking out a second mortgage for another house when they haven't even finished paying off their first house. These are literal kids who have been told from the ages of 6 that you graduate high school so that you can go to college and get a 4-year degree. It's not then just on the person who's been influenced by the elitist group of the population to be completely at fault for the financial recklessness they got into. The people who influence the culture are definitely at fault as well.
Now, I'm well aware that's not how bills get paid.
Someone does have to pay the bill. But I don't think it's the worst idea if there's some kind of social safety net where you kind of get a freebie. Like let's say a free year of college or something like that. Only because college itself is inherently unfair and not consumer friendly whatsoever. This is because if you go to college for even a semester, and let's say you didn't like it or you didn't learn anything and you decide not to go to get a 4-year degree, you can't then get a refund on those college credits. That time you spent getting them is completely wasted. And those, you now have two choices. Cut your losses and forget about the time that you wasted, or go back to college and become more in debt to the state. Now, I don't know about you, but that's generally not the most fair way of doing business. Right? You get the product and you don't like the product, now you can't refund it. Sorry, not our problem. Usually there is some kind of fair refund policy with businesses that are worth billions. So why is this one so punishing when it relies on essentially business from kids? You can't sue them for a loss of potential income that you could have been earning while you were in college. And unfortunately, that one semester can cost anywhere from 10K to 30 grand.
From 10K to 30 grand.
So you're going to tell me that no matter what, it's the kid's fault who didn't know any better because they never were taught, nor have they had the life experience to learn from themselves? Okay, Ben. Ben always says a kid can't make their own decisions, right? Specifically when he's talking about other adults trying to push their political agenda onto kids, right? He says kids are stupid, right? And they are. Like, I'm still learning as a 22-year-old, you know? I'm so much smarter than I was yesterday, right? He's got a good point where, yeah, kids can't make their own decisions. And they shouldn't be allowed to, right? And I'm pretty sure he considers people to be a kid until about 18 years or older. That's fair. I know a lot of people who say you aren't grown up until you're about 25. That's also fair, because you're not paying bills still around then sometimes. To then go and say you're on your own for the stupid mistake that you made in your 20s when you were heavily influenced by society, well, I'm going to have to say that isn't really their fault. And it's just an elitist position like Ben Shapiro to then say you should pay for your own mistakes. Well, Ben, most people in America aren't hyper intelligent and borderline autistic.
Autism in this case is definitely a PED, okay?
Look at all the really, really intelligent people in our lifetime. You can think of like Elon Musk, Ben Shapiro, right? They're definitely a little bit on the spectrum somewhere, okay? Ben Shapiro's ability to remember statistics is really impressive. His ability to remember just about anything, but then his interactions with people is like the social kind of awkwardness and unawareness of, I guess you could say, people's feelings, right? To me, makes him seem a little bit like he's on the spectrum. That's fine. It's a PED, in my opinion. Autism is a PED. All the best, smartest people have it. Just saying. So, we are not all capable of being as successful as you, Ben Shapiro, right? This is obvious. And yes, people should know taking out a bunch of debt probably isn't a good idea, but like many other Americans, I'm going to insert myself into this and tell my story, okay? I grew up second youngest of a family of 6, okay? We all graduated high school. None of them went to college. I went to college because I wanted to continue my wrestling career. I really loved wrestling, and so I wanted to continue it through college. I kind of had an idea of becoming a chiropractor as well, but as time went on and I actually learned more about the position that I was going to be filling, I was less interested, okay? And after a year of community college, paid fully out of pocket, I went to Arizona State for a year, and I came out with 20K debt, right? And that was scary, and I regret it. But the thing is, I know now that if I could go back in time, I would stop myself from going to that college, right? Unfortunately, we don't get that luxury, okay? It's really, really one of these things where, knowing what I know now, yeah, I wouldn't go there. It was a waste of money. It was a waste of my time. But that's not how life works. Now I'm 20K in debt. Luckily, it's only 20K, but I'm done with college. I'm not going back, right? I am one of the lucky ones. I didn't end up with 100K debt, okay? 20K is scary enough. I'm terrified. 100K, I don't know how I'd be able to live with myself. I'm going to be honest. That's pretty tough. Now, that doesn't mean that I want someone else to pay for it, but outside of the United States, life is really hard. In the United States, we have plenty of luxuries that we are used to. Things like public schools or public transportation, decent road conditions, and social safety nets like food stamps so no one starves. All those are great things. Not everyone gets those opportunities or luxuries in other countries. So yes, it is partially how easy we have it here in the United States. That makes us feel like other people should help us whenever we made a mistake. And that's not how it should always work. But for me, I graduated high school at 17. I had no idea what I wanted from life because I didn't have anyone to guide me. And unfortunately, that's the fault of bad parenting, which a lot more people can relate to than not. So just focusing on Ben's take where he says, don't take out debts you likely will be unable to pay off. The people taking out these loans aren't 40-year-olds who know how much life costs. They don't know about mortgages. They don't know about car payments, electricity bills, how much HOA costs, sewage bills, internet bills, phone bills, car payments, how much even the price of food is a month, you know, mortgage, how much any of this costs, okay? So how can they foresee 15 years from now how hard it would be to pay off 60K to 100K in student loans while paying 3K minimum for everything you need to live with like a 60 to 80K dollar job courtesy of your useless 4-year degree that society expects you to get? I'm not saying he's wrong for his opinion, but it really shows the disconnect between him and his viewership. I'm more conservative and libertarian, yet I find myself hoping for a better advocate for conservative views than people like Ben Shapiro or Steven Crowder due to how they get their point across. Because although the idea that people should handle their own problems is not wrong at all, the way he goes about making this point is what turns people off, including myself. Now, this payment of college debt thing is pretty terrible, I must admit, because it actually doesn't help poor people, since those are the people who can't generally get a loan from the federal government or a private loan, okay? Put myself in that shoes. I tried to get a loan. I was declined, both a parent loan and a federal loan. Don't know how that would look now. This was 3 years ago, but I was denied. I haven't paid off that debt. It's still with the school of Arizona State. So I just recently started making payments on that to the school, but I don't have a federal loan. So will I get my loan forgiven? Probably not. That's something Democrats won't talk about. And for good reason. They want that extra 10K in their pockets, since they made it to where if you paid off the loans, you will be reinstated for a minimum of 10K, which is an absolute joke. Government officials should not be able to get this, and hopefully they don't, because that is absolutely a conflict of interest. They're essentially stealing from us Americans in plain sight by giving themselves 10K more from our taxes. It's actually amazing, and it's not surprising why Democrats have wanted this forever. One time, I was knocking doors and selling solar panels in Oregon, and I approached this nurse, right? This registered nurse, it's a guy, and he tells me how he's not planning on paying any more of his school loans because he's hoping that now that Biden's president, he'll be able to just do the loan forgiveness that he's been talking about for years, right? So he's just like, I'm going to stop paying, and I'm just going to hope that Biden takes care of it. He's like, I don't agree with it, but I'm an opportunist, and I want to utilize it if it's there, so why should I pay it if he's just going to pay it for me? I totally get it. It's being offered, obviously, should take it if you need it, right? I'm not rich. If I was rich, maybe I'd feel a little bit different. But for me, right, if it's being offered, I'm going to take it. Now, I don't want it to be offered, but it's there. So what do? Do you not take it? You take it, okay? And that's the unfortunate part about this scenario, is that many, many Americans are going to take this. People who don't even deserve it are going to take this. And that's why these government solutions are not good, because they're not catered to help the poor. They're literally just catered so that they can benefit in some way, okay? Because I didn't benefit from the unemployment of the shutdown. I didn't get any of that, but I knew plenty of rich people who got a bunch of unemployment. Very weird scenario. Very, very weird. And then you have another situation right here where you have a group of elitists like AOC, Alexandra Cortez, who claims that she still has to pay for student loans. Well, it would seem that this would help her, right? 10K minimum. We'll see how that gets given out to government officials, and I really hope it doesn't, but you know it's going to. So what do you think? Do you think it's okay to criticize people who have the biggest platforms so that they can do a better job presenting their points? Or do you think that smaller platforms like myself should just keep their mouths shut and just let it be? Thank you guys for watching the video. Like, comment, and subscribe to the algorithm.